Introducing first out of the blue corner. He weighed in at 147 pounds, wearing white trunks with red and blue trim. He brings a record of 39 wins, only 2 defeats, 27 of those victories coming by way of knockout. The former welterweight world champion from Sheffield, England, the special one, Kell Brook! Introducing out of the red corner. He weighed in at 146.4 pounds, wearing black trunks with gold trim. He brings a perfect record, 36 wins, no defeats, 27 victories coming by way of knockout. The former lightweight world champion, the former undisputed junior welterweight world champion, the reigning, defending WBO welterweight world champion, the pound-for-pound king from Omaha, Nebraska, Terence "Bud" Crawford!
All right, here we go. 12 rounds of action scheduled in the welterweight division. You know, guys have told us, world champions have told us, guys that are used to fighting in their backyard like Bud has, like Jose Ramirez has, this feels different. It took me a while to get started, but is known as somewhat of a slow starter. How will we see things play out early on? Questions are about to be answered. Here's Tony Weeks with some final instructions.
Okay, right here is good. Right here is good. I want a good, clean fight. Obey my commands at all times. Above all, protect yourselves at all times. Let's go.
All right, they touch him up. Let's do this. One thing that has been talked about a lot this week is the size difference of these two. How much will Kell weigh when we step in the ring? How much will Bud? Is he that much bigger? Kell's argument all week long is all promotion long. I'm the naturally bigger, stronger guy. So we'll see how much of that size he can impose on the champ in Terence "Bud" Crawford. Christina Poncher and former WBO 140-pound world champ Chris Algieri here with you on the call. Thank you for watching us wherever in the world that you are as we get ready for our championship main event. This fight scheduled for 12 rounds. Terence Crawford in the blue and gold trunks. Kell Brook repping the UK in the white with red and blue. And right away, you see Terence Crawford starting in the orthodox stance, but he will switch, arguably the best to ever do it, between southpaw and orthodox. Fighting a lot more recently, Chris, in that southpaw stance, but here he is starting in an orthodox.
Yeah, I'm surprised actually to see him coming out orthodox. I expected him to come out southpaw. I think Kell Brook probably expected him to as well. There you see that jab from Kell Brook. He actually has an excellent jab. Uses it very well. Is very active with it, is Kell Brook. So that's going to be a big weapon for him, especially early on.
Sure is, and it's something that Crawford and his team are aware of, telling us in our fighter meetings this week. Terence saying, I see him trying to out-jab me and time me and continue to jab before me, but I have a pretty strong, pretty quick jab as well. We saw a lot of that in that fight against Postal, who a lot of people talked about Victor Postal's jab, and Crawford beat him to that. So we'll see which game plan prevails here, as the 1-2 of Brook is also a beautiful, a thing of beauty to watch.
You know, speaking about jabs, one of the big parts of a good jab is being long, and Terence Crawford has a 74-inch reach advantage for a welterweight, which is unheard of.
Yeah, and only a 5'8" welterweight.
Exactly, yeah.
We talked about Brook's resume, getting him to this point. Some people saying the best opponent that Crawford has faced, being that he beat Sean Porter to win that welterweight world title in 2014. Moved up to 160, fought Gennady Golovkin, lost. Errol Spence was his last fight at 147, lost the IBF title there back in 2017. Is he still a high-class caliber fighter as he was then, racking up 3 wins since that Errol Spence loss? Or has Father Time taken its toll on the 34-year-old and on his face, albeit orbital fractures in both sides, coming off the losses to Gennady Golovkin and Errol Spence?
Kell Brook doing a good job, landing some nice, hard, solid jabs so far. Has been able to out-jab the longer Terence Crawford. in this first
there
round.
There it is. There's another strong jab from Kell Brook early. But staying orthodox.
Something Kell Brook has to be careful of is a lot of times he overthrows his punches. Sometimes it gets tall, leaving himself open. Look for Terence Crawford to come over the top at times.
Kell also saying, I can switch too, and I may implement that in my game plan as well. As you see now, Bud Crawford going southpaw.
Yeah, we've seen Kell switch sides and find out the south position
nice
quite well. Good luck.
Lead left hook from Kell Brook in the last 10 seconds here of round 1.
And a goodbye, Jeff.
Terence Crawford coming off the longest layoff of his career.
But he'll land 3 or 4 very solid jabs, as well as a good left hook to the head of Terence Crawford in that first round. You had mentioned starting slow against Kavaliauskas, did Crawford in his last fight. Kavaliauskas, who is a very strong guy and very powerful fighter, is not as explosive and maybe doesn't hit quite as hard as Kell Brook is. So Terence really needs to be careful in these early rounds.
Sure, and a lot of that explosiveness and power from Kell Brook comes from those legs. I don't know if you had a chance to see the weigh-ins, or you can probably even tell now he has an extremely strong base, very solid legs, and generates a lot of his power from that bottom half. So
yeah, Kell Brook always has tremendous physique and great conditioning.
Kell Brook has 27 knockouts in his in his 39 wins, and he has won 2 of his last 3 fights by knockout.
Kell's looking very quick at 47. I've been impressed, so far. He looks faster than usual. And he did say in the fight, this is my weight class. This is where I started.
Yeah, you're coming up from 135 pounds, but I am a natural 147 fighter.
And these guys had a nice battle, war of the words this week. It's been interesting and entertaining to kind of follow it. Although I would give the edge to Crawford in that sense.
It's really hard to beat him at trash talking. He's an ultimate competitor in every single thing that he does. I've spent a lot of time around him working for Top Rank all of these years, and I don't think I've ever met anyone in the world as competitive as he is. So
yeah, Kell Brook is, personality-wise, is definitely much more of a more quiet, laid-back kind of guy.
Agreed, but held his own.
Yeah, he did.
And is holding his own right now as we're midway through round 2, and he gets caught with a sharp lead jab from Crawford there, as Crawford has remained in the orthodox stance for most of the first 2 rounds, and then a good right hand there from Brook coming in.
Both men really sharpshooting at this point, going for tick for tack. Very, very tactical from the outset. I think both men fighting with a lot of respect for the other.
Do you think that Kell Brook looks that much bigger than Bud tonight? I know size was a big thing that we talked about leading up.
I do see him being bigger. I understand him being a bigger guy. I don't think it's going to be that important as Kell has been talking about all week. At the end of the day, skills pay the bills, and this fight's not going to come down to who's the bigger man.
Yeah, that seems to be what Kell. Well, that was his narrative that he was pushing. I'm bigger. I'm stronger. He hasn't seen anybody my size. That was his narrative that he pushed the whole time. And
a little surprising, honestly, because I don't think he's the kind of guy who fights using his size that much. He's very quick. He's explosive. He's a good counterpuncher. He's a good jab. He's not a physically, demanding pressure fighter who's going to use his physical girth or size to push you.
And this has been a little bit of a chess match here through 2 rounds, but I think I was more concerned about the size when Crawford moved up to welter to fight Jeff Horn. Round 3 scheduled for 12. Christina Poncher and Chris Algieri here with you. Our main event of the evening, pound for pound, one of the best fighters in the world. ESPN's pound for pound #1. Terence Crawford against Kell Brook.
Now, if you notice, we got a great view right here looking at the feet. We're seeing a southpaw orthodox, and you're seeing both men battling for that outside position. That's very, very important when you are fighting an opposite stance, to make sure that you have the outside position. That's the dominant position when you're fighting an opposite stance. See that what happened just there. Kell Brook pulling back with his chin up in the air. That's where he really needs to be careful with the reach and the timing of Terence Crawford as you're pulling away.
Crawford giving him a different look here, starting this round for the first time in the fight as a southpaw. The first 2 rounds were as orthodox as used. Take a look at some of the punch stats. A 36% clip landed for Kell Brook. About the same amount of punches thrown there. And that right strong hand jab from Crawford in this southpaw position is where he's very comfortable with that. His strongest hand out in front as you see him throw it there to the body and then doubling it up back up top.
Yeah, he definitely seems to be way more comfortable out fighting out of southpaw stance. We've seen it more in recent years, him starting fights from that, fighting entire fights out of the southpaw position.
Which is why I'm surprised he's always still listed as an orthodox fighter, because as of late, just to your point, he's done so much work. If you kind of logged the minutes, I know
things starting to heat up here in round number 3.
Terence Crawford in the States before the bell, a minus 1,100 underdog, meaning you'd have to bet $1,100 on Terence Crawford to win 100. Chris and I were talking about, earlier in the week, it was 7-1 odds. We were like, wow, I can't believe Brook is that much of an underdog. He doesn't look it here yet through 3 rounds, but Crawford's starting to get his respect. That strong right jab, having some success here in round 3 in that, southpaw position.
For the people at home, they might not think a whole lot is going on, but there's a tremendous amount of tactical work from both men right now.
Nice right hand there from Brook and a counter from Bud.
All these shifts and movements and feints.
Big right hand from Crawford at the 10-second mark in round 3. Things are heating up here. Nice combination from Crawford. Then he goes down to the body as we see things start to turn up here a little bit.
And
that was a strong finish to round 3, something that is very important in your opinion, Chris, as we call these fights in the eyes of the judges, to make an exclamation point there at the end of a round.
Yeah, that was a much better round for Crawford. Yeah, I was excited for this fight. I did a lot of homework reviewing tape. And I did see a number of things that Kell Brook does that actually falls right into the hands of Terence Crawford. I was hoping that he was going to come in here understanding that. It seems like he has so far, but as the rounds go on, more of who you are starts to show up.
Back in the southpaw stance as he started round 3. Again, here in round 4, there's a minor little swelling abrasion on the right eye of Crawford as he gets tagged, as I say that, by a left hand of Kell Brook.
Their heads sliced together at some point, too. I think both.
And maybe that was caused by that clash of heads. Here we go again. Big shot from Crawford.
5,
and
6,
that is a knockdown.
7, 8. Come to me. You all right? Give you a chance.
And Kell Brook looks like he is still a little bit out of it. Can Crawford in the show in round 4?
I think it was a right hook as
Crawford looks to finish. Big shot from Kell Brook. He is hurt.
No.